is designed to just create indentured servants, right, who can never file bankruptcy on their so-called student loans. And then the loans are conjured from nothing. Loans are conjured out of absolutely nothing. They just type it into a computer and that's it. Oh, now you owe us all this money. Right? They conjure the money out of nothing, but then you owe it. You're going to have to get past that. You're just seriously going to have to get well past, good and well past that. That it is fake. I don't give a flying fuck what Dave Ramsey says about, you need to pay all these back and blah, blah, blah. You promised all this bullshit. Fuck you. They printed it out of nothing. They conjured it out of nothing. They get nothing back. Fuck all the way off. And it's the same thing with your goddamn rental properties. You borrowed a bunch of, because the only reason that rental properties, by the way, just so you know, the only reason rental properties work, let me completely just hog fuck all of you rental bros out there once and for all. The only reason those properties function is because you're using OPM. Nobody, if there was no banking of any kind and you had to pay cash up front for all those houses, let's say you found a cheap one for 250 grand. You're telling me that you're going to come out of pocket $250,000 in cash that you can never get back until you sell the house because there's no other lending, and that you're going to do that to make what, $500-600 a month in cash flow? Bullshit. Dude, sell that bullshit to somebody else because that didn't work on me. No. I know how much money I can make with $250,000 myself, and it ain't $500 a month or $600 a month with a shit ton of risk on top of that. And a bunch of maintenance and all kind of, dude, it's way fucking more than that. So no, you guys with this bullshit about how it's profitable. No, it's really not. It's only profitable because you're borrowing money from a bank that's conjuring it out of nothing. In other words, you convinced a bank to give you fake money to, quote, buy this asset, right? And then you're going to make money off the asset. Do you really think I give a flying fuck if your tenant tells you to pound fucking sand? Fuck no. For real. I don't give a flying fuck about that. The tenant can stay there for 6 years for all I give a shit and not pay your rent. Fuck off. You took that risk. And you were a fucking dumbass on top of that. You shouldn't have taken that risk. Just because the guy at the airport Marriott told you could get rich in real estate, it was all over the place in the 80s and 90s. Oh my fucking God, it was everywhere. And that shit, there's still guys who sell those fucking real estate classes. Even to this day, and I'm surprised people still go. Oh my God. None of those numbers work anymore. And they work occasionally only if you happen to find something that kind of works out and a bank is willing to actually do the deal. And in a lot of cases right now, unless you already have lots of money, the banks aren't going to do any deals with that. What is the rules? What's the rules to banking? What's number one rule in banking? Number one rule in banking is make sure that the person that you're lending money to has more to lose than you do. That's it. That's the rule. That's the rule. They just have to have more. They have to believe you have more to lose than they do, and they'll do that deal. Okay, it's the number one rule. At the top, okay, we're not talking about all the credit score bullshit and all that nonsense, all the technical algorithm horse shit that you guys see. We're talking about like real banking, okay, real banking at the executive level and above. That's the number one rule. They just have to have more to lose than you do. That's it, and then you can do the deal. And it doesn't make any difference what deal that there is that they're doing. Right? And you can put whatever you want in that contract, especially if they want, we talked about this with Trump and all these other guys. You think those guys aren't beholden? Dude, of course they are. So you only do that because the numbers work with OPM. They don't work with cash. And most of you don't have that kind of cash sitting around to just buy up all these properties, right? And it wouldn't work anyway, especially if you got rid of, let's say you got rid of all the zoning laws. Let's say also on top of all of that, there was no corporate ownership of land, right? And let's say you went back to common law on your, in the US, which just simply says if you have, if there's a property, there's nobody on it, there's nobody living there, there's nobody doing anything with it, you can just claim it yourself and build your own house. What if you went back to that? That's common law. Remember, that's how the country was founded. Okay, the founders understood that. Most of the right hate the founders. I don't know if you know that or not. They do, vast majority, because they don't like the idea of the so-called liberalism of, well, but then people will just own land. Yes, that's what you want. You want a country of people owning land. The right are the ones who bitch the loudest. Never, fucking constantly. This is why the right has no credibility with me at all. You have no credibility with. I don't give a shit where you are in the right spectrum. You have no credibility. Now the left has no credibility with me either. Most of them are mentally ill, but the right has no credibility with me at all because you guys bitch the loudest about how, well, we need, it's all these people who don't own houses and they're voting. Like, whose fault is that, dumb fuck? You're the one who created that fucking situation. Well, no, they can own houses. They should pay my price. Do you even hear yourselves when you talk? Probably not. In other words, like, you want to force somebody to give you a bunch of money. You just want to do it without being a tyrant. I would rather you be an armed robber. I would rather. It's more honest. That's 10,000 times more honest. To just walk up to someone and just steal it from them. I can at least respect that. At least then you're willing to take the chance of being, unalived yourself. I can at least have respect for that, right? But I can't have respect for someone who hides behind the law, and a whole bunch of fucking douchebag cops that aren't. I mean, fucking most of them aren't worth walking across the street to piss on if they were on fucking fire, because of the way that they look at their life, where they just see everything as, oh, I'm just following orders, making money, etc., and I'm doing what's right. No, you're not doing what's right. You don't have a brain in your head to think about that kind of shit, apparently. Because if you were doing what's right, you'd look at the Constitution and say, dude, none of this shit's right. Yep, exactly. That's why most of the right hate the fucking Founding Fathers. They won't admit that, but it's the truth. So if you went back to common law, then what is all this property worth? Nothing. It goes away very quickly. All those so-called valuations go away very quickly, especially when you don't allow foreign ownership of land in the U.S., which is fucking retarded. I don't know why anybody allows that. Dude, nobody else owns. Mexico doesn't allow that. You can't just wander into Mexico and start buying land up. They'd say, fuck you. They want nothing to do with that. And that's in Mexico, a so-called collapsed fucking narco state. And that's there. Even they won't allow that. Right? We consider them to be kind of like quasi-third world, even though they're really not. They're not really third world. Parts of Mexico are actually quite beautiful. But I'm just pointing out that we think about it that here, that's the American version. Like, okay, well, what if that was the case? How much would all that shit be worth? Nothing. It would go away. All that value would go away, and all that money that all those banks lent out would be worth nothing now. Yeah, because it wasn't worth anything to begin with. It was all fake. You're starting to see where all this is going? So no, I don't give a shit what happens to you. I don't. I don't care what happens to your banks. I don't care what happens to your car dealerships. I don't give a shit what happens to any of you people out there that are trying to that are trying to rent seek. I don't care what happens to you on this stuff. You have brought this on yourself. There are other ways to make money that are legitimate. I don't know, you could do work. Like actual work. The thing that those of us do that you don't want to do, that's why it's called work. Not happy fun time, right? I don't have to pay you to come over to my house and watch my giant TV, sit in a beanbag, drink beer, and eat pizza all day. In fact, you'll pay me for that, right? I don't have to do that. That's happy fun time, okay? It's work because it's something that is, that you have to do to get it out of the way. And the goal is to get it out of the way as early as possible, generally by the time you're in your 30s, the actual work. Okay, so that way you can then, enjoy your life a bit and do other things, pursue artistic things, or not even artistic, anything. You could be, I don't know, you could be pursuing things like I would be pursuing if I had the time to do it and I wasn't doing everything goddamn thing else and stuff. I'd be working on electricity. I'm not going to go into that with you people, but I would be working on that. I have a lot of ideas floating around here. It's what I do. But there you have it. I hope that made sense.